Hi, so I thought I'd tell you a little bit more about my experience. Being a religious person, I always believed in Jesus. I mean, basically, I would lie on my bed and just think, God, why am I not in heaven with the angels? Why am I down here doing this kind of stuff? And then, whenever I would get upset about things as a young person before I was even a teenager, I would go into the bathroom. I would get our little paper cups, our little Dixie cups, which used to be a lot more popular back in the day, right? 70s and 80s. And I would drink water straight from the tap. It was kind of rusty water, it was kind of hard water, and I'd drink it, and I'd kind of sit on the edge of the bathtub, or maybe on, the toilet seat with it closed. I wasn't peeing or anything, and I would say, "Oh God, comfort me, talk to me." I never heard God's audible voice, but God was always there for me when nobody else was. I mean, I believe in the Father, I believe in the Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ. I believe in the Trinity. I do. I would go to church, and I felt a wonderful experience every time I went to the Catholic Church until my parents were divorced and we no longer went to the Catholic Church. And you could never go back. After I was married, we tried to go to the Catholic Church, and it wasn't the same experience because you're not a little girl. You have sharper, wiser eyes now, and you realize that there is hypocrisy all around you. Okay? Speaking of, not that I want to put anybody down, because I really have no desire to do so, to put anybody down. But as I said, my parents had gotten divorced. As a result, Mom stopped attending church. I mean, she lost all interest in church. And so I had to take a church bus to the Nazarene church in Loudonville, Ohio, it was okay. And I remember the pastor preached a sermon about the mountaintop experience. I thought that was so touching, it was so good. But I hate to say this, a few years later I saw him in a local bank, maybe after I got my driver's license or something, and he was an arrogant bastard to the tellers. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just surprised this is the same person. He seemed like he was just a real disciple, a humble disciple of Christ, but it turns out he's just an arrogant evangelist. I was shocked. So I don't know if and when that happened, I got my driver's license. Well, I got my temporary permit when I was 15 years old, and I started exploring other options. You know, and so I decided to go to the Worldwide Church of God. Please don't stone me, because Herbert W. Armstrong was very persuasive back in the day. I know a lot of people don't even know his name anymore. They know Jerry Falwell, right? They know Jim Baker, they know Tammy Baker, they know Kenneth Copeland, but do they know about Herbert W. Armstrong? Do they? Because I was always pulled in by the charismatic evangelist type people. It's like I'm that way, you know. I don't have any desire to like be their girlfriend or anything. I mean, in case you're thinking that, I just don't. It was just so different from the males that I had known in my family, who were just kind of curmudgeons or kind of lecherous, shady people, and these guys were different. So, Mystery of the Ages was the book that I ordered in the 8th grade. So that was before I had my driver's license, that's true. I don't know about the bank thing. Maybe I'm getting things confused. Maybe the chronology is messed up. I'm sorry, just trying to bring it all together. And I was really convinced. It was a few years after my parents' divorce, after we had moved out of the trailer park after Mother had had too much of all those shenanigans that do happen in that trailer park, which we won't name specifically. Wasn't the best place to be. Yeah. So we moved into a rented house, and Dad would come and stay as they were getting, it was like a rapprochement or something, or it was like a détente, or it was glasnost or something between Mom and Dad. And, this is what I'm talking about, that Reagan era. You have to understand glasnost. We understand glasnost. If you were born in 1972 and you're still alive, you understand glasnost. And you understand détente. You realize that there should be an escalating of tensions, which there was for me. Oh my gosh. And so I thought, well, if I've tried every other church, then perhaps I need to try somebody who's a bit off the grid, like the Worldwide Church of God. So to make a long story short, but not too short, my parents eventually remarried in a Lutheran church, which of course Dad and Mom both had the German origins and everything. And I'm like the gypsy that nobody wants to acknowledge as their child, but I am the gypsy child. And it was great, but it was so funny. I want to tell you one thing about this. After my parents remarried, Mother was sort of faithfully attending the Lutheran church, and then we would say something about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and I would leave out Holy Spirit because I was told the Trinity isn't real. You can say Father and Son, but you can't say Holy Spirit. And I would always leave that out. I mean, that was bizarre. Nobody understood. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw me, but I wouldn't say Holy Spirit. Now of course I believe in the Trinity. Am I an idiot? Do I not have a poster of, well, Christopher Columbus almost looks exactly like Martin Luther hanging up on my wall. I'm like, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that's a given. If you're Christian, you believe in the Trinity. I mean, God is a triune God. Oh, but anyway, I decide now I'm going to really dash. I'm going to diner dash. I'm going to contact them. And they said, at the Worldwide Church of God, well, because you're a minor, we can't necessarily do anything against your parents' will or wishes, but I caught a ride, from people that would always take me to the church. Now, one of the things that really won me over to the Worldwide Church of God is because Herbert Armstrong said, well, people that supposedly are Christian aren't actually very nice people. I thought, well, that's really true. They're actually not very nice people, are they? They should be charitable and nice and kind, but they're the opposite, and they're just judgmental and mean. And so I would attend all these services, and I found that they were even worse than the church services I had attended before. I mean, the Catholic Church, I didn't really have any problems, and in the Protestant Church, I don't think people were extremely unkind to me. Maybe they could have been nicer to me, but who cares about you? You little disposable gypsy woman. Gypsy, gutter trash. That's how I feel. That's how people see me, really. I'm not gypsy gutter trash. Well, no, stop. Okay, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're being histrionic again. I know. Okay, just you need to stop. Okay, I don't care. People don't respect you because you don't have blonde hair and blue eyes and large boobs and a big butt. Yeah, but and you're not very intelligent either. But I am. I was. Well, not that. Just let's not go into it, Erica. Just calm yourself down and let's go on with the message and stop being so histrionic, which you have a tendency to be, actually. Okay, no, just go on. So, the real deal breaker was when I was in college, my first year of college, I I subscribed to the whole doctrine. Like, we basically had to keep the Judaic or the Jewish holidays, like the Day of Atonement, which we called it the Day of Atonement, the Feast of Tabernacles. I kept it religiously, but people, boy, they were just so. People who would give me free rides, they just ended up not being who they pretended to be on the outside. They just kind of like scuttled me off to the side, like, little gypsy girl, just, you don't matter. Get out. Who gives a flying being about you? I didn't feel that so much as when I went to. We had like, it was like kind of like a, whether it was a Day of Atonement or a Feast of Tabernacles ceremony in the Masonic Hall in Columbus, and everybody was just being so mean to me and ignoring me because it was a fat, plump, pimply young woman, and it just, I was so rejected. I had to finally run into the bathroom and cry my eyes out, and this woman asked me, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Oh, my boyfriend is mad at me." It was just lying through my teeth because I couldn't explain. It was because I was being rejected by everybody. This is not a marriage market. I wasn't there to like marry your mentally deficient sons. I was there to worship God, but everybody acted like it was a marriage market, and everybody was rejecting me, and I was just, God. I was so upset. And then Joseph W. Tkach came out with some sort of a book. He was like, no, I'm sorry, he was Joseph W. Tkach Jr. or Joseph Tkach Jr. Transformed by Truth. It's a book you could read. I haven't read it in years. I didn't need to read it. They suddenly said tithing wasn't necessary. And actually, when I got married, I insisted, well, tithing is necessary and you have to worship God on Saturday. And it was all that. I'm like, well, if it's not necessary, then I don't even need to go to church anymore. But actually, I'd like to find the right church, but I'm really not sure that I ever will, because I'm a person who's actually very pure of heart, and I am a rare diamond shining on.